Good morning, colleagues. Prof, I think it's now 5 past. I see external guests are starting to have joined in. I've seen 2 so far. I think we can start at 5 past. The audience is here. We have about 51 attendees. So yes, we can start. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure if I'm able. I would like to, I don't know, I'm sharing my screen and wanted to know if I'm visible and I can't see myself. I'm not sure why.
You're audible. We can see video, but on presentation it says bring presenter screen on screen and share content that you. Now we can't see anything. Can you please reshare your screen?
I'm not sharing the screen, but I'm sharing my video.
Okay, yes, we can see you.
You can see me. Okay.
Yes.
I thought you guys will be helping sharing something. Okay, perfect. I wanted to see that. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. I am Nolontu Mbekwa, Associate Professor at the Academy of Computer Science and Software Engineering at the University of Johannesburg, and I'm also the Deputy Director at the UJ Cyber Security Center. And our webinar today is titled Cyber-Hygiene, Best Practices for a Safer Digital Life. Now, this webinar is brought to you by the Information Security Services at UJ. And I'm not here alone this morning. I have a panel with me. And, technology can be disappointing. So let me just test. The two, are you in? If you can share your video as well so that our audience can see you.
Okay, just a moment. I'm assuming you're speaking about us, Prof.
Yes, the two first, if she can switch on, the two, Uleboge, also if you can join in and switch on your video. Jamie, if you here as well as Michael. So that's our panel for today. We're not going to have any presentations. It's a Friday, but we want to discuss and share important information with you. So if my team, the panel, if you can do a video and show your face, I'll appreciate that. For some reason, I can't see anything on my side, so I don't see my panel if it's here. If anyone can confirm that.
No, I can't see. Okay. Nope. Anyone else can see? Okay, I think coming through.
Leboge, please, if you can put your video.
Okay, Prof, could you confirm that you can hear me?
I can definitely hear you, but I can't see you.
Okay, let me just see. And can you see me now, Prof?
Perfect. I can see you. Great stuff. Happy to see you. Michael, I can't see you too. Can you switch on your video? Michael, we can't hear you. Michael, are you there? While we wait for Michael, let's check the two Shiba. Are you also here? Unmute yourself. Okay. For now, it's just me and you, Leboge. So let's get it started because I see we have about 62 people who have joined in who wants to hear what we have to say today. So if you join in, Michael and Betu, just unmute yourself and join in the conversation. As you all aware, October is Cyber Security Awareness Month. So Cybersecurity Awareness Month is an international initiative that educates everyone about online safety and empowers individuals and businesses to protect their data from cybercrime. Even amidst large-scale data breaches and cyber attacks, Cybersecurity Awareness Month is meant to remind everyone that there is simple and effective ways to keep yourself safe online and also protect your personal data and ultimately help secure our world. I know it seems far-fetched, but if we work together, we can do that. So today we have a round table. As I said, I have a panel with me, only one who's here for now. Technology is not working with us this morning, but they will be joining us. Michael should be joining us. Jamie should be joining us. And Betu hopefully will be joining us as well. So maybe let's get it started and start discussing why we're here and why is this important. Maybe Uleboge, tell us, why is cybersecurity very important? Why is it important? Why should we know about cybersecurity?
So, we live in a world where I think almost everything and most of the things we use just solely depend on the use of technology. And it's grown so much that we have reached a point where technology is even at the forefront of ensuring that businesses are operating at an optimal level. Business revenue also depends largely on technology, as if systems are down, then no revenue can be made. Even in our personal lives, we go to the mall, we pay using our Apple phones, we use our smartwatches now. Some people use their watch to even tap. So I think technology has grown very vastly, and obviously, as with anything, the more the growth continues to spiral, essentially also attackers are on the lookout to see what can they gain from this newly profound technology advancements that have been made. So we need to protect ourselves in the sense that a lot of data is used within technological systems. A lot of our personal information, critical um what can I say? Our critical and okay, just our very personal information is exposed to companies that contain this data within their databases and so forth. So there is quite a need to ensure that we protect ourselves sufficiently, because with data, you can do almost anything in today's world. So we need to ensure that at all times we are protected. Attackers are also on the lookout to make sure that they can make a quick buck or to even damage some of your personal information and stuff like that. So that for me personally is the reason why we need a profound knowledge of what cybersecurity is, how to protect ourselves, as we also have a part to play as individuals, as much as these companies and everybody else might implement cybersecurity solutions.
Thank you so much, Oleboge, for that. And I think I'm going to write on the fact that you've mentioned data and you've also mentioned risk. So there's this understanding, of course, out there that people's data is at risk, as you've also alluded to. So, but many people don't know where to actually start. So some questions sound like people who have maybe received security awareness training, but still lack some context. So maybe let's
Correct.
take it a little bit step back and say, maybe what is digital footprint, and why should we know that?
So in terms of digital footprint, I believe is the trail that you leave when you interact with online systems. So when I say a trail, it's essentially just a map of all the activity that you've been conducting online on the internet and so forth. It's essentially everything that you do on the net leaves a footprint. Like you just picture it like walking in the desert, just that it's on the internet. It leaves your trail behind with the websites you visited and so forth.
Great stuff. Thank you so much. And that's worrying because you're talking about a trail. Does that mean that as soon as I purchase my mobile phone at PEP, get my SIM card, it gets record, I'm part of this bigger network, and therefore it starts that trial there?
Essentially, I would say that depends. That depends because there's two types of your digital footprint. There's your active and there's your passive footprinting. So that really just depends in the sense that the active digital footprint would be stuff that you probably share online, like social media, or like filling out a form on a website. Have you noticed when you do a Google form, how it
Bishop
says,
Kadongole.
would you
Ukente.
like to save your response? So that essentially is still leaving some sort of trail behind, which would be active in that sense. And then there's also your passive digital footprinting, which refers to the data that's collected about you without your own input. So that I mean, with tech, the medium of travel most of the time, now that we're going to a wireless society, is the medium of travel of everything that you would send over networks is the air. So there will be some sort of um, footprinting that is done passively on you without your own input.
Yo, that's scary. I just want to check. There was someone who wanted to comment. I'm not sure if it's part of my panel. Michael, are you in? Betu? Okay. Tokozani, please, if you can assist Betu, I sent an email just now. So moving forward, in terms of our discussion, if a digital footprint then means that the hackers and the scammers out there already have my information because there's this data that is collected about me, whether with my consent or without my consent. Um, if they already know everything all about me, why should I bother maybe protecting myself?
Um, In terms of that, protecting yourself is always important because data is current. I think of it as current in the sense that there's always going to be things that are occurring that update information and data. And data is so critical and so important that even when black hat hackers steal your information, they go and sell it to the highest bidder that they can. So protecting yourself is ensuring that there isn't this continuous cycle of your data being stolen and it's just being accessed, and everything about you is just being known, even across a number of years or months. It's always important to ensure that even if maybe some of your information has been stolen, you can somewhat bring it to a stop or make it more difficult for people to access your data.
That's really crucial, and I think that's quite important, particularly in this day and age where people can also impersonate you to take your
Yes.
information and use that, in fact, to impersonate you. And we've seen such attacks recently where you are busy using your mobile phone. The next thing you are not on the network. And sometimes you get messages that WhatsApp has been disconnected, and you get these strange messages. All of a sudden, people get messages from you to say you are in trouble, you need this amount of money, please
Yes.
make a payment quickly. That has increased quite a lot these days. But anyway, I want us to come back because you've mentioned something about connectivity. And I think, I mean, there's no point of us having these devices and these mobile devices that are so helpful if we are not connecting to the other devices, meaning connectivity is crucial. So connectivity has been an essential part of being. It allows one actually to communicate with anyone, anywhere and everywhere. So Wi-Fi connectivity is one of the easiest ways one can connect to the internet. We even these days have public free Wi-Fi. What can you say about in terms of staying safe when it comes to Wi-Fi and connectivity?
In terms of public Wi-Fi's, I think most people know the answer, but not everyone does. But public Wi-Fi's, guys, are a no-go area, a no-go zone, especially if you're going to do some very important, if you're going to carry out some important tasks on your device. A public Wi-Fi is not recommended at all. However, there are ways that you can protect yourself whilst using a public Wi-Fi. You can use things like VPNs, you can use some antivirus software tools. However, like I was saying, a public Wi-Fi essentially is something we call an unbounded medium. And an unbounded medium simply means that anyone who is listening into that network can access everything that is being sent over it in plain text. It's not encrypted, hence public Wi-Fi. There is no security. It's like having a house with no gate. Anyone can walk in if they are just close enough and can see that, okay, there's no gate, so I can walk in. So essentially, with an unbounded medium, um, which is public Wi-Fi essentially. It's never good to try and do anything that is quite important, let alone there are so many kinds of attacks. I could even mention an attack which is something called a keystroke attack. So essentially, I'm going to give a scenario where I am listening into a public Wi-Fi and I can see that Prof. Mpekwa is about to go into her banking details and I can see FNB there. Can use tools that are very accessible nowadays, which I won't mention. But essentially, say for instance, she pulls out her banking app and she's using a public Wi-Fi and I conduct a keystroke attack on her. I could simply just wait for her to type in what she's typing in, gain access to that, and just replicate it. And that would be it. So there are measures that you need to take extensively if you want to stay safe on a public Wi-Fi.
Mm, mm. So we must be careful on what we do when we connect to public Wi-Fi. You can use it
Correct. You
to
can
chat
use
on
it,
WhatsApp.
but
Just
yeah,
update family and friends. I'm here. That's it. But you
yes,
can't do sensitive transactions and activities that can share like personal information, banking information, etc.
correct. Yes, correct.
Wow. Yeah, so you've mentioned some of the measures that people can use, for instance, the VPN, as well as you've mentioned something else.
I mentioned the VPN as well as what did I say? I forgot. I was speaking so much. I said a VPN and an antivirus
Yeah,
software tool. Yes, antivirus software
antivirus,
tools.
yes, antivirus software. Do antivirus works?
I mean, it's what we call layering your security. So you'd have like a first point of detection, which would be maybe your antivirus picking up that, hey, something is not right here. And then you have other tools in place which will supplement that. But yeah, security is never just a one-way thing now. It is usually layered to ensure that at each point of communication, there is some sort of security, whether it be encrypting your data, whether it be hashing some of the passwords or some of the clear text you put onto the net, and so forth.
Great stuff. I think the biggest one is antivirus. And I'm not sure how many of us who have joined in today have antivirus on our mobile phones. And it's up to date. Hey, it must be up to date for it to work. It must up to date. So you've mentioned also passwords. And often commonly used password will be guessed by malicious actors in the hope of gaining access to our accounts. Using simple passwords and having recognizable password patterns can make it simple for cyber criminals to access large range of accounts. What are your tips and your solution around passwords?
So passwords have been a tricky conversation for a long time. Quite a long time. I know it because my parents struggle with their passwords, especially some of our elderly citizens. They struggle with passwords, even young people actually. So I think there is a need for some good knowledge sharing on passwords and so forth. But the thing about passwords is that it is advised that you have a different password for literally almost each and every website. Because if we can crack, or essentially, if I can crack your banking password, Prof, and for instance, you use it for UJ, you use it for your online government services, if you have any, your medical website, your just anything that has to do with your other accounts. If essentially I just crack one of your passwords and I try it on everything else that I know that you have, and it works for four of them, then I literally have access to your entire life, which is not good. So it is suggested that you have different passwords for different websites. You don't have to completely make them different because I know we struggle with managing our passwords and we forget. And these passwords are long now, they've got special characters and so forth. So it is suggested that you try to just diversify how you use your passwords across different websites. So you don't have to make it too complicated because actually I was having a debate about 2 weeks ago where we were trying to see what is the optimal password length that would work, which is basically the debate between security and ease of access at the same time. Because for one or the other, it has to compensate somewhere. But I personally think the best place is just in the middle. Just create a password that is not too simple. You can use random stuff actually. I think random stuff works better than your personal information when making a password. So yeah, passwords are quite important. You need to pay attention to them and try to just make a password that is difficult enough for the next person to guess, even if they know your personal information.
I think I tried recently, Uleboge, the random passwords because I find that actually they do work. For instance, if I'm changing my password and I'm sitting in my office and I see the name fire exit, I randomly use that and then maybe change the e's to the threes and maybe put an ad so that there's characters as
Yeah,
well. But who can guess that? Who's going to be able to guess that Prof. Mbeko was sitting in her office and this is what she looked at? No one is going to be able to guess that, right?
correct. It's something that would not occur to you because in most times we know that people use their name or their surname 100% in their email, or they use the two numbers from their date of birth or the actual day they were born. So if I've got your personal information, I can only guess a certain amount of times before I come up with something concrete.
Mm, mm. I agree. And I want to emphasize actually on the fact that you mentioned that because that was gonna my next question to say people have one password that they use all the social media platforms. They
Yes,
also share with their families. Their families, they know their password, and their families also use the same passwords. And the dangers around that, if you can emphasize that again. And I know it's quite difficult for, I mean, you have X, you have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have Instagram, but the chances of one getting one password and then accessing all your social media platform and many other accounts that you have is very high if you have the same password. So if you can emphasize on the dangers of having one password for everything.
Within the social media context, that is, right?
Yes.
So in terms of social media and security, I personally think the best thing that can happen to you, even if you are a victim of an attack, is that should somebody hack one of your passwords, they only have access to that specific one and you can deal with it better. So the point about cybersecurity is trying to mitigate the impact behind attacks and so forth. And it's not essentially a foolproof method to say that you won't be a victim of an attack. However, if we can reduce the impact, that works best because then we can analyze the risks associated with certain attacks. So when I say that, what I mean is that in terms of social media, if I have one password for all my social media, that means you can completely take over everything that I own essentially on social media because then you have access to my Instagram, my Facebook, your X, your Snapchat, all of these kinds of social medias. If you have the same password, then now you have to deal with more um a bigger impact essentially, which is harder to do as compared to if you would have had one password, well, different passwords for different platforms, in which in that case, if one is accessed versus the many others, that is fine versus being attacked from every single angle. So with cybersecurity, essentially, we're trying to reduce the impact by creating awareness, and that is what helps the most when the impact can be brought down to the least level possible.
Great stuff. That is quite critical and crucial to say. Let's minimize the impact as much as possible. Of course, the actors, the malicious actors out there will try by all means to always be ahead of us. They will try to improve on their tactics and their techniques as much as possible to get as much out of us as possible. So I would like to maybe write on this social media and continue on and saying, what if then my social media, one of my social media accounts has been hacked? What do you suggest I do? What can I do?
First of all, you'd have to report that your account has been accessed and it is not you who is using it. So any activity from a certain point in time going down was not activity that was done by you. So yeah, the first step is definitely to report to the respective website, well, not websites, to the specific social media platform that you have been attacked and they've taken over your account, and then you can explain the details. There are usually people on the other side who are waiting for such requests and deal with these problems on a day-to-day basis. So the first step is definitely um, to definitely report and let your own people know that your accounts have been attacked. Because what commonly happens these days is that I hack Prof. Mpekwa's account and I message her family members to say that I need money for this and that, and the family ends up sending the money because they think I am Prof. Mbekwa. Meanwhile, I am an imposter and would simply be impersonating her. So, yeah, first step is to report and let everyone around you who communicates to you a lot and has some of your personal information, let them know that your accounts have been taken over.
Thank you so much. So we must report. So it's quite important that we report this. You don't just sit and hope that things will get better or it will go away. It doesn't go away.
Correct. Yes, it doesn't go
Yeah,
away.
it doesn't go away. You must report it. And then the first quarter of 2022 saw a dramatic increase in phishing attacks. Cyber security vendor Checkpoint revealed in their 2022 Q1 report that phishing attacks impersonating the professional social networking site made up over 52% of all attempts globally in the first quarter of 2022. Maybe break it down to us. What is phishing?
Okay, so phishing. Phishing is a classic in what it is a classic attack that hackers use a lot to try and gain access to your information. So phishing is essentially a third party posing to you as an individual as a legitimate website. So they pose to be FNB, they pose to be Capitec, they pose to be your time banks. Essentially, they just pretend to be a legitimate party, and will probably send you a link. So phishing usually comes in the form of emails, WhatsApps. Funny enough, I got a WhatsApp yesterday, that posed as Capitec. That posed as Capitec, and the number is like 067 something 4295, and I'm like, here they start again on my personal WhatsApp. So that shows you the extent of which
How far?
phishing attacks go. And when you browse at it, when you glimpse at it, it looks like Capitec is really messaging you. So phishing is essentially just an attack where third parties act as legitimate parties to gain unauthorized access to your information, systems, and credentials. So with that message, as that being an example, when I saw that message, I was like, okay, let me do some digging. Because in terms of phishing, they will look legitimate. Oftentimes, if you don't know what is going on. So until I clicked on the profile and it says business account, and I'm like, okay, business account, and then it has a bio. So a bank would not have a bio on their business account at all. And also it wouldn't be coming from a personal number. So like a +2767, that is a phone number. It's not an entity or an enterprise telephone number. So you just need to look out for small things that just throw people off most times.
Hmm. Wow. It this is quite gonna be difficult because you just said it looks legitimate. So chances are when you look at it for the first time, it should look like it's convincing. It should look like it's coming from the bank. But
Correct.
except that if you take a moment, breathe through, look at each component of it, you will
Yes.
realize that like, probably it's not.
Yeah. And also another thing that people don't notice at times is that um, these entities will never, ever go out of their way to try and communicate with you, especially if it's not on their banking app itself, or they would just block your cards, or they would just tell you they would just do something that makes you come back to the bank and not try to contact you in any other way or send you an email. I don't remember getting an email from my bank. I don't remember getting a phone call from my bank. I don't remember getting a text message or WhatsApp or any of those things. So people need to understand that more often than not, the people who are reaching out to you are not legitimate parties and are just trying to do something funny by scaring you with the message or saying that this, and this won't work. You need to gain this much money in X amount of days and so forth. It's not a real thing. Because I remember the last time when I had issues with my bank card, all they did was just block my cards. And then I find out when I'm at the point of sale that I can't pay for anything. And then that forces me immediately to go to the bank themselves. I won't call them or try to WhatsApp them, you know. So critical things like that is what people need to take note of and understand that Yeah, your service providers will more often than not try to contact you. They will just do something that ensures that you get it sorted out and fixed the right way.
Mm. In fact, I usually do that when they call you and say, give us the last 6 digit of your
Yes,
ID. And
correct.
and usually I would ask myself also, can you confirm that you are from the bank? Or if you're really from the bank, what is needed from me? Can I go to a branch nearest to me so that I can confirm that I can bring my ID and so on? I know it's very easy and it's convenient to do things over the phone and online. But these days you can never be too sure. So my biggest to run away from all of this, I usually say, okay, fine. If you call me, can I go to the branch? Can I go and confirm that at the branch and bring my ID with me instead of giving you my details over the phone?
Correct, correct. Which works best that way because you're also ensuring that your data is used in the right way, essentially. So your data integrity remains intact by taking those steps also.
Mm, mm.
Morning, everyone.
Technology. I was gonna
Yes.
say technology was just against us. I have my panel finally here.
Yes, good morning.
After 40 minutes
This was a struggle,
of
man.
having a conversation with me with Elubuche. It was just me and him now. We're just having fun. But welcome in Jamie and Betu. You've joined in while we're talking about phishing and all these messages and issues that we get. Emails, trying to get information out of us as users. What can you comment on that?
So, first of all, morning to everyone, and apologies for this glitch. Wow, I had all the answers because I was listening the whole time. So I had all the answers, and I'm sure some of our participants have their comments, and we can't wait to take their responses or questions. But for me, I think phishing, it preys on your weaknesses, right? I think the ones for the campaigns are the worst. The real life one, I feel like you're more vigilant for some reason. I guess the one that is a campaign prepares you the most. So you find that you are, for example, you go online, you're looking for carpets or chairs to buy, and then suddenly you're getting a discount message on your SMS to be like, oh, there's a discount on, chairs, and then suddenly like, oh, I've been looking for this, let me click. So it's just a matter of being vigilant. Rule number one, don't click any link. I remember I was expecting a shipping in, and then they were sending me a link. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I went to the website, go check my order on the original thing you've done. So do not, any feedback message that you get after you've done can be online banking. Go back to the app, go back to the source and find that message. And when I read the email, I said, you're going to get an SMS with this tracking number. Then I was like, oh, okay, I can go back and click. So the validation is very important, the double checking. And we've got website like fish tanks where you can copy the link and paste it there to see if it's not phishing or not. So you've got other platforms that you can use external to the link. So rule number one, don't click any link. I don't care what it says, even if it's from your teacher. Don't click it. Just don't click
Thank you
it.
so much. In fact, you attended to the issue. I was gonna say we get all these links all the time, and sometimes you wonder because I was gonna bring that to say most of our students at UJ, it's the end of the year, it's the end of the term. They are looking for jobs, and these are sent through social media through links. How can we confirm that a link is legitimate and I can click on it? I am looking for a job. So what can I do? Jamie, can you come in here?
Yes. Often phishing websites, there's a sense of urgency that they require from you. Like you must do it now, you're under time stress, and that's a good point to look out for. That nothing will ever be that important from a random email. So you got
Mm,
to you
Yeah.
got to be careful of that.
Yeah, and to just add, the URL itself has attributes that can help you spot it. For example, if it has so many forward slash, it has so many ads, if the length is long. So you check all those things, the length is about 50 characters and all those. There are these features that you can look into. Obviously, the first thing is to hover over the link. That's the first step. But once you hover, then these are the things you can look on the URL itself as the characteristics or features. If worst case scenario, then you copy it and paste it on the fish tank or similar website that allows you to check if this is phishing or not before you click on it. Just be precautious. Take the 1 minute will save you of checking, will save you more, especially if it's an actual phishing link.
If it looks too good to be true, like
It is.
you've won 1 million rand in this competition, but you haven't entered any competition or anything, you got to be careful of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, me too. I'm looking to win millions so that I can retire early.
Yes, yeah.
So we're all looking for that. So in 2024, once you get that message or email, it does not work. It's you're not supposed. You just delete it and move on. Okay. So that's
Sorry,
it about phishing.
Sorry,
Yes,
Prof, just
Betty.
one thing, because I feel like others they forget. They also the scanning of your QR codes, they can be embedded with a code that is that it can definitely take your or steal your data. So don't, we know we like to pay and scan, even a restaurant have menus where you can scan, just don't scan. Yeah.
I was about to ask that. That was my question following that, because it has gotten so popular as well, the QR code. It makes life easier instead of sometimes going to the internet, www, you just scan it and then it takes you straight where you want to go. Um, how important is it as well to actually make sure that how can we test it? Is there a way to verify it, or should we just not use it at all?
I'm gonna give other presenters before I jump in.
So I think that essentially from a security point of view, we can say don't use it, but some people just like the cool stuff and like just the convenience of doing certain things. So I think it's all, for me personally, I think it's a risk appetite um based on um what measures do you somewhat have in place that protect you against all of your internet activities and so forth and so forth? Because there are tools to prevent such things. However, we don't exempt the fact that your stuff can still be stolen. Like you're saying, they can embed barcodes within the scan, in which then picks up some other stuff that you might be doing. So yeah, I think it all depends on you personally, but it is advised probably not to do it and just type on the internet, because that's also not a bad thing to do, Just it takes you a few seconds to type out the name of the restaurant, find the menu, and you're good to go.
Yeah,
Great
because
stuff.
you're saving a minute to maximum. So your
Essentially,
comfort
yes.
is less than, it's 30 seconds you're saving. So is it worth it? That's the question we must ask. So it's just, for me, if it's a form, then yes, you can probably do that. But if it's a menu, if it's on a kiosk outside in a public space, just if it's in a public space, probably not. Just don't.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you need to scan it and get to the link, don't enter any personal information, because that's when the risk comes into play, is when you voluntarily give your usernames and passwords or any banking details to these unknown websites. So if it looks
Correct.
suspicious, if you have
Yes.
any if your inner gut is telling you this looks a bit suspicious, just don't enter any personal information.
Protecting your personal information is key. And I want us to go back to passwords. We did with Uleboge talk a lot about passwords, but I hear this word and people talking about it, and maybe you can break it down for us. the multi-factor authentication and how, as mobile device users, we can use this and protect our data.
Jamie, can.
Yeah, multi-factor authentication, it provides another level of security on top of the username and password. So once you've put your username and password in, then you're required to put a code or click accept on your phone. That level of security means that you, even though you signed in, you still need to do another step in order to confirm the sign in, so that if a malicious actor uses your details, they won't be able to get the second factor. So they won't be able to get into your system.
Just to add, for me, I'll simply put it as, when you're in your house, you lock the front door, you lock the bedroom door, then you go to sleep and you feel safer. So it's just adding that layer of security that works for you. And then you just know that when I get to authenticate, it's for you to be confident that that layer of protection is there to protect you. I know sometimes it's tedious. I remember when you're traveling abroad or outside the country, it becomes so much fun to do that. It's a nightmare. But it's just, at least now I've got cell phone banking. Thank goodness for that lovely invention. So you can continue accepting and authenticating for your banking anywhere you are, which is good. But for us as students is to make sure that, and some people will say, I'm a student, I don't have much, like what am I protecting? You're going to be a CEO one day. It's a fact. It's a matter of time. 10 years from now, you're going to have the most prominent position, and then your information is going to be important. You're going to be, front and center. So today is your time to protect your digital footprint. I guess we've passed that, to protect your digital footprint today, because now you guys don't have the privilege of growing in silos. You're growing with the internet. So everything you're doing is so don't say it's just my Facebook account. Nobody cares. I don't log in. It's important because you used your personal attribute to create the password, right? It's important because you post where you are going. I'm going there, I'm flying there. You are posting it there. So people know you are not home. People know you are not at work, so they can pretend to be you for that time. So today seems not important, but in 10 years' time, your information will be worth millions, depending how hard you work to get there, right?
Great stuff. Oh, you've mentioned so many things, Beto. I don't know where to start, and I'm worried I'm looking at the time. But the critical part that we're discussing is the multi-factor authentication, and you guys mentioned the layers. And in fact, we've seen through the banks, in fact, most universities, including the UJ, are moving to multi-factor authentication when you are accessing systems and applications and so on within the university. And you've mentioned that although it's tedious and we're not comfortable with it at the moment, but actually is protecting us at the end of the day. You wanted to add, Uleboge?
It just what Betty was saying just comes back to what I mentioned earlier, that security is never just a one-way street, or I just put this here and that's it. It's a constant layering to ensure that at every point in time your data can be protected. The same thing she was saying, that you will lock your gate, you will lock your garage, you will lock your front door, your back door, you lock the butlers inside. Yeah, your house, if there is in between maybe your lounge and your bedroom or your passageway. So it's just layering these security measures and protocols to ensure that at every single point of access there is protection, essentially.
And then you mentioned very critical issue in terms of digital footprint. We did touch it briefly with Leboge, that digital footprint is quite important, and I don't think we have full understanding of the minute that I switch on my phone and I get that connectivity. I'm participating in this digital space. I'm actually registering to say, hey, I'm out there. I can be found. So, what is it that you can give to our listeners today to say they must be careful, particularly looking into their digital footprint?
If you post something online or post a comment, you must have the mindset that if you were to put this on a big sign on the highway, you'd be okay with it.
Yes.
Yes.
And you must consider the
Yeah.
aging. Have you looked back to your old post and you're like, oh my goodness, that feeling? So when you're posting, age whatever you're posting, in 5 years' time from now, will this even be necessary, right? Don't share something that is literally unnecessary. Yes, you want people to know that you're traveling the world, you're doing whatever, but rule number one, don't post while you're there. Those are basics. Secondly, when you're posting, please do not give us all the information. You take the picture, you show us the address. Do not give more information. Try and be as ambiguous as possible as you're posting all those things you want to post. Leave no room for a person to conclude who you are every time you post. I think that's the bare minimum you can do. Because we can't say don't post because you got to post. So whatever you post, just remain ambiguous. Take out all personal details. Look at the picture. Zoom in the picture. People will post in their classes are reflecting and they're telling us everything. Don't do that. Every picture, scroll, look at it. Look if any personal information of yours is there, anything attribute that are telling a stranger about you. And the worst part, I was posting, so I'm from Swaziland. I was posting, and then I get home. They're like, "Oh my goodness, you went to the gym." I'm like, a random person, because you're not aware who's following you, right? And that's when I made my stuff private. I made my accounts private, and I went back because you grow as you go along. You forgot who you added 5 years ago. You don't care. Another thing, do check who follows you again. Do an annual test if you have to. I'm telling you, go back there because it was the strangest thing. I'm like, what? You are my friend? Like, I didn't know that. And then so much information about me. You can even sell me at this point. So please go back. If
Oh,
I
wow.
added you a year ago, you're probably not relevant today. If people don't have to be on you, people you follow, don't go for the likes. If people don't have to be there or as your friend, let them not be there. It's okay. So try to be so private in this very loud public space that we are right now.
And
Yeah.
another thing I'm going to add is that essentially, even that person was not wrong because they were given access to
Yeah.
the social media. She shared it. So it's like you are essentially giving it to us to look at and we can use it essentially. Like I will remember if I see somebody to say that this, so and so. So you need to also be mindful of the fact that what you share on social media, you are declaring that you are giving it to the world.
To do
How they
whatever.
portray and they perceive it is not up to you, but you are giving it to the world and you can't do anything about that. So hence you need to be mindful about some of the things you think you want to share or how you want to share them and so forth. Because you can't post and then be mad about something because you gave it to the world. So it
Mm.
really wasn't asked for. So just be mindful of those things as well.
My
True.
heart I can't contain the information I've got today. It's just too much. I don't know where to start, but of course there's something I need to do, obviously, and I want to take this opportunity because it's Cyber Awareness Month. For the first time in 2, 3, 4 years, can you take a moment as a listener, go and change your password? You've been using it for 3 years now. You've been using it for 4 years. Please go. I'm going to give you just 1 minute. Go and change your password. Don't use any of your personal information that we know already. Change, look at outside, look for something. Three and brown dot sky, their ideas. So please go and change your
Change your
password. So
passwords.
before we close, we only have 1 minute. I'm going to give each and every one of you panel members just maybe one tip or one comment to the listeners on what is it that you want them to take away today. Uleboge?
So what I want people to take away is do your due diligence. Do your validation checks. Ensure that you know what is fully going on when you're using a specific system, and also try to diversify your passwords. As Prof was saying, change your password. You've been using it for 4 years now. So diversify your passwords. Don't make them too complicated. Make it simple. But do your due diligence. Be on the lookout for certain things that just look funny and don't make sense. And yeah, I think people need to pay attention more. Also, be present when you are using technology. Be present, be in the moment, and understand what it is that you're doing step by step, if that's the case. So yeah, be present also, because people just often browse over things, do this, and then they continue with their lives.
Thank you, Jamie. Closing comments?
Yes, you must be aware of your footprint, and whenever you're online, all the little bits of data that you're leaving behind, or the pictures you're posting, or your comments, and you must just be aware that that is available to anyone, to future employees, to friends, to family. Anyone can see that. So think twice before you post, would be my advice.
Thank you so much. Betu, last comments?
Well, to the young professionals, please stay away from Twitter. When they do digital checks and your views are not aligning to the company, you're out. So stay away from. We know that your views are very important. We love them, but do keep them to yourself. Sometimes it's part of growth. As you're looking forward to the working space, you are your job. With what I do, I can't afford to make a mistake. Make a mistake, I'm fired, because I'm expected to be the exemplary of what I do. So you're going to be professionals in the world, and you're going to be fired. The consequences are higher. So today's behavior will help you tomorrow. So start today. Whatever we have discussed today, do it today. Don't wait to be hired. Don't wait 5 years. Start today, so that when you get hired, it's easy, because the rules are a lot. So it's going to be easy for you. So that's what I want to take away.
Thank you so much to the panel. The time is finished. I've learned so much, and I hope you are able to take notes and implement what we've shared with you today. It is Cyber Awareness Month. Please, for the month of October, take a minute, read the message, read the email. Before you click on that link, look at it, hover around over it, and look if it aligns. And if it doesn't, maybe it was not meant for you. Thank you so much. You must have a great Friday.
You too, Prof. Thank you
You
so
too,
much.
Prof.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.
All right,
Bye.
bye.
Bye.